Before the board is application A1518, continued for the meeting of 10/28/15, 11/18/15. The application of Mary Ann Simeone, 300 Broadway, Revere, Mass., requesting parking variance to enable the appellant to convert approximately 4,000 gross square feet of floor space for a religious facility located at 300 Broadway, Revere.
Good evening, applicant.
Board, my name is Mary Ann Simeone, representing Mary Ann Simeone, owner of unit number 1, Broadway. At this time, we respectfully request to withdraw the petition. The individual church that was interested in the property no longer is interested. We couldn't really accommodate their needs economically and physically, given the structure. So at this time, I'd ask that you withdraw the application.
Thank you. Was that on?
No.
Okay. For the edification of the TV community, the applicant has requested to withdraw the application. Is there a motion to withdraw?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to withdraw the issue of the Mary Ann Simeone with prejudice.
Seconded. Roll call, please. With prejudice.
Question comes on authorizing the withdrawal of the application with prejudice. Mr. Bacilli?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Corrin? Yes. Yes. Mr. D'Angelo is absent. Mr. Mazzoni?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
Yes. This is granted.
Our second calendar item number, we will be taking a 10-minute recess till one of our members, he's stuck in traffic, shows up. So there'll be a brief recess. The meeting will now come back to order.
The next application before the board is application A1522. This is the application of Baystone Revere LLC, 21 Center Street, Weston, Massachusetts, requesting minimum front and rear yard setback variances to enable the appellant to construct a 234 dwelling unit apartment building on parcel 137A at 524 Revere Beach Boulevard, Revere, Massachusetts.
Good evening. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members. James Cipolletta, 385 Broadway, Revere, on behalf of Baystone. We're before the ZBA on a letter from the Site Plan Review Committee requesting two variances, one for minimum front yard and second is minimum rear yard setback. As the clerk noted in the initial announcement, and as is indicated in the legal advertisement, this is to allow the applicant Baystone to construct a 5-story, 234-unit residential dwelling at the site of the old Ocean Club. Just a matter of history, and you probably all remember this, because I think the Ocean Club took a couple of years. We came through just about every board, and that was permitted for about 242 units. I don't know how many units it was, but it was a very aggressive project. Thereafter, it was re-permitted a couple of years ago by Patriot, basically the same. Fewer number of units, but for a multi-unit residential building. The property lies within the RC1 zoning district, which substantially limits it. As a matter of fact, it limits it exclusively to residential development. So as you can see from the plans, the application is for fewer units than we could, by the zoning chart, construct. Rather than the 12 stories that is as a matter of right, Roy and his development team have decided that 5 stories with the 242 units is probably a good fit for that piece of property, and in keeping with what the city's vision is for Revere Beach Boulevard and the neighborhood going forward. In order to do that, however, getting the building footprint on the lot requires that they encroach a bit into the front yard setback. So the front yard setback sort of varies a little bit along the front of the plan, as you can see. It sets back 13 feet at one end, 10.3 in the middle, and 12 or so on the other end. So in terms of what we're actually looking for in terms of a front yard variance is 7 feet on the left corner, 10 in the middle, and 8. So we're looking for no more than 10 feet at the maximum of a variance from the 20-foot setback in the front yard. It's 30 feet requirement in the rear yard, and we're looking at 10 at the 10-foot variance at the minimum and a 13-foot variance at the maximum. So with regard to the front yard setback, this is very much in keeping with, and in fact more compliant with the zoning ordinance purpose and intent. If you look down the boulevard, most of those buildings come right up and crowd up on the sidewalk or very close to the sidewalk. And not only on Revere Beach Boulevard, but also in some of the newer and under construction projects that are now underway. So Roy and his team did as much as they could to try to comply and try to make it a real good fit with the front of the boulevard. And as Roy will point out, that whole front of the building is substantially glass, so you're not getting this looming feeling from the front elevation onto the boulevard. So it gives the illusion or the appearance that it's much further back than it actually is. That if it were made of mostly like concrete or brick or a similar construction material. In the rear, there's really nothing back there. You have the MBTA railway that they have an easement there. There's a county ditch and there's a marsh out there. So you're not dealing with any residential uses to the rear of any significant matter until you get back to, then you get back to North Shore Road. Roy is a little bit humble about who he and his development company is, but I will tell you that in working with Baystone and Roy and Todd and the whole crew over there, I think this is the kind of person, this is the development team you want in Revere. The history is sterling. They've done some magnificent projects, and they've completed everyone. They stay with their projects when they're done. They've done a huge project in Hopkinton. They've done several of them in Waltham. They've done the Children's Hospital in Waltham. And this is the kind of developer I think that the Community Development Office and the Economic Development people really wanted to make a presentation to the city of Revere. We spent a lot of time with the site plan review people, and we're very grateful for the generosity that the professional staff has given us. We've met with the neighbors. We've met with the condominium owners. We met with Councilor Powers. I know I've met with him at least 4, maybe 5 times. Roy and his people have met with Councilor Powers at least 3 times that I know of. And anytime someone raises a concern, they go back and they try to, change the plan or reorient it. So this is the plan that everybody sort of settled on being the plan that is the best. And Roy's goal in this development is for this to be the best building in Revere, the best residential building that you're going to see. And it deserves to be because it's on the beach. And one of the things that this city of Revere has, and it has many of great attributes, but the 2 best attributes it has is number 1 is its people, and number 2 is its beach. And I think that you'll find that this project is going to be very well deserving. We've met all of the conditions preceding to the grant of a variance. We've given you a whole topographical and soil analysis, as you know from other projects that we've had down at that site and along the boulevard. This is a very challenging lot to build on. It's not evenly shaped. It's sloping To the back, you have the easement, the county ditch, the MBTA, and all of that. That makes it a very challenging to deal with in the rear, in addition to the soil components that have been pointed up in the exhibit that we attached to the application. We also, in paragraphs 12, 13, and 14, set out a little bit about what the soil conditions are, and they are very challenging and not common to that zoning district at all. So if there are any questions about the zoning component of this, and I should just, before I sit down and turn this over to Roy, point up that we, in all other respects, especially the important ones, in parking and side yard setbacks, we meet or exceed the requirements. We're very protective and sensitive to the Seaview building and the residents and condominium owners there. We're very sensitive to the fire protection and fire safety concerns that the chief had weighed in on, and we've taken care of those. And so parking's good to go. Side yards meet or exceed the requirements. And I would suggest that this, when it comes time to vote, gentlemen, that you'll find that we've met all of the conditions and this is the project that you would like to see. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. If they're about the building construction and so forth, Roy McDowell can answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing that this is a public hearing, we'll continue the hearing and ask for proponents. Anyone in favor? Please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Richard Marchese, Dansville Place, Middleton. I'm a consultant for Mr. Lasden, who is the direct abutter of this property, and came today. He wasn't physically able to come. But to say that it has his full blessing, and he's doing everything he can to accommodate the gentleman to get this project to be successful. So I just wanted to be on record for Mr. Joe Lasden, which would be at 570 Revere Beach Boulevard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would Council President Powers, the ward councilor, wish to speak?
Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I don't normally come before boards or commissions advocating for apartments. It's not something I recommend for the city. However, this parcel of land is zoned RC1, and apartments can be put there as a matter of right. My reason for coming here today is to make sure it's the right type of development with apartments going there. We've had 2 meetings at the Seaview Towers in the community room. One as recently as about, I don't know, 8 or 9 days ago. Mr. Tucker was there. John Fester was there. Council at Large Hass was there, and myself, with residents of the building. It was posted in the building several times that there would be a meeting, that we would be there. The developer was there at the first meeting. And I know that some of the residents there, particularly the 2 women sitting in back of me, have concerns with the proposed balconies on the side of the building. I think as far as the side yard requirements are, they meet those requirements as a matter of right, as far as the 20 feet on each side, I believe. And the same would apply on the other side. So the variances they're looking for the rear and the front. When the Ocean Club was proposed, I believe there were a similar amount of units proposed for that project. And then subsequently, another developer came in and proposed lesser units. They showed parking on the front of the building, which I certainly, as the ward council, would not favor. I don't think it's aesthetically pleasing to come and see 30 or 40 cars parked in front of one of those buildings. I've talked to the developer. I've talked to his attorney. What I do want to see there, again, is the right type of development. I don't want to see someone say, or this board say to the developer, no, you can't do this, and have him walk away, flip the property to some developer who would build a lesser quality building down there and not as aesthetically pleasing. If you look at the renderings, this building shows a glass front, some of it going from floor to ceiling, which I think is very impressive, the building itself, to look at the building. I've talked to the developer, and of course, this has to go to site plan review. There'll be recommendations made there. This has to go to conservation, I believe. There's going to be required I believe, a 18-inch sewer line in the back of the building to satisfy any future sewerage coming down there from the adjacent property or more development that could happen down on the Pines area, let's say, for instance, the tow company down there, J. Epsmith's property. I mean, that someday that's going to be developed. I don't know what's going to go there, but something will go there. And I want to make sure that the integrity of that sewer line is kept in place. The size of the sewer line is adequate to transport any sewerage from development down on that end. So I would say that I am here today as a proponent, not as a proponent for apartments, a proponent for the developer that is putting apartments there. And that may sound a little confusing to you, but he can, again, they can do it as a matter of right. I would imagine if they wanted to put in a lesser quality building there, they could probably put in a couple of hundred apartments. They could go higher. They could go up to 12 stories. Would it be more costly for them? Certainly. Steel, concrete, elevators, the whole 9 yards. But having talked with this developer and having talked with Frank Stringy, we've had meetings with the building inspector, and not being a builder myself and not being that knowledgeable with regard to construction, I'm told that what he's proposing there is quality construction. It's something that will fit into the neighborhood. It's something that down the road, and this is one thing that I'm going to request at site plan review, that this building be built as a building that can, down the road, be sold as condominiums. Because in the event the rental market is very high right now. Everybody's looking to rent apartments. And the rents that they're going to be charging for these apartments are high. They have to be to meet the cost of construction and the debt service to the building. And I'm sure that the developer has that in mind. But let's say the rental market fell through the bottom tomorrow and the condo market came back up. I'd love to see these units sold off as condominiums, because that's what's consistent with that end of the building, the boulevard down there. The other thing that I see here is that there only 1/3 of the property, the units, is being built as 2-bedroom units. Okay, most of these are being constructed as 1-bedroom or studio, which would be available to professional individuals, people that are going to come in here without, and I'm not against children, I love children, I've got a bunch of them myself, but I think that we've overbuilt the city with regard to apartments. And I was opposed to the Shaw site down there, and I'll be opposed to any other apartment building that cannot be done unless it's done as a matter of right, as this is here. So, again, I'm here today to support this. I'll be at site plan review, looking for what I feel is adequate for the area down there, and I'll be at conservation, making sure that the drainage and sewerage problems on the boulevard are being addressed with this project. So, with that said, this is your decision to make. I've rendered my opinion. We had a show of hands down there at the Seaview Tower when we had the meeting. The majority of those people, I believe probably 2/3 of them were, while they're not in favor of apartments, they were in favor of this project rather than see something of lesser quality come into that area down there. And that's my position. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Anyone opposed? Just for the edification of the public, we have in front of us just for front and rear yard variance. The side yard is not required a variance. They are within the land usage table that they do not require a variance. Anyone, other members wish to speak, or? Okay, then we can ask for a roll call.
Question now comes on granting the relief requested by the appellant. Mr. Pacilli? Yes. Yes. Mr. Corrin? Yes. Yes. Mr. D'Angelo? Yes. Yes. Mr. Mazzoni? Yes. Yes. Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
Yes, this is granted.
So the next step, but this would go in front of site plan review, and you'll deal with that process. Thank you. We have one more calendar item number to address.
This is application A1523. This is the application of S. Claus, 1000 North Pole, requesting various temporary variances on December 24th, 2015, to enable the appellant to conduct a one-night not-for-profit delivery service within the city of Revere to facilitate the delivery of toys and gifts to various residents' locations within the community. To reduce the carbon emissions, the appellant proposes to use non-domesticated animals to conduct the delivery services. The non-domesticated animals respond to the names Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donna, Blitzen, and Rudolph.
Is there a motion to approve? Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Mr. Corrin. Roll call.
Mr. Bacilli? Mr. Corrin? Mr. D'Angelo? Mr. Mazzoni? Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
No
Thank
further
you,
business. The next meeting could be scheduled for January 27th, 2016.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone.